Fourth wall breaking horror, or meta horror, is a genre or gimmick used in horror where the media, in this case a video game, acknowledges or interacts with the real world in some way. I've personally talked about a couple fourth wall breaking horror games already. Cattle Boy, Arisu Syndrome, I'm Scared. They all utilize fourth wall breaks to enhance the horror elements and sometimes the gameplay. One thing in common with all these games is that although they used fourth wall breaks to elicit horror, they never went too crazy with it. The worst thing that would happen is maybe the game pretending to close but reopening, or even knowing your computer name. However, what if there was a meta horror game that did its absolute best to mess with your computer to the point where it could be borderline classified as malware and have you thinking something is wrong? No game does this better than A Dark Place. A Dark Place is a game created by Xur Studios that was released on July 3rd in 2018. This is actually a sequel, or I guess spiritual successor, to another fourth wall breaking horror game that the same creator made called My Place. However, out of the two, people tend to play A Dark Place, and with a direct sequel in development, it's safe to say A Dark Place is quite well received by its players. Is this game as terrifying as it seems? Will I fear for my computer's safety? Will my full name and address be spammed on Twitter the second I open this game? There's only one way to find out. This is A Dark Place. Extracting the game's files, I immediately noticed the various labeled folders that were in the game's folder. One of them just holds the game data, one of them holds music tracks you'll collect later on, and one is completely useless. I'm not sure why it's there. When you first open the game up, you wake up in this dark red room with nothing but a music box and a locked door. Really, the only thing you could do is play the music box, which is playing just an absolute banger. It's so good that someone actually starts breaking down the door so that they can listen better. Suddenly, the music just stops and the doors focused on. And all of a sudden, this floating white face bursts through your door and takes over your entire computer screen. This is a little fella called Nightmare, the main antagonist of this game. If I had a nickel for every time I've played a fourth wall breaking horror game with a floating white head as the antagonist, I'd have 2 nickels. Which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it's happened twice. After this, you wake up in a new room, the main lobby. This is where you'll access the various parts of the games, which is split into chapters. The first door leads you to chapter 1, subtitled Fear. This first room has you navigating a circular train track with a big locked door. To open the door, you have to dilly-dally around to find 2 different switches to open it. The best way to describe this game is fetch quests. Most of the game has you looking around for a key, finding switches, finding codes, all to just open up doors to new areas. Sure, the gameplay's a little simple, but this game isn't here to be the next God of War, it's here to be scary. Almost as scary as buying Gamersupps and not using code TOADBUP for 10% off your entire order. Use the link gamersupps.gg/TOADBUP, which should be in the description, and get yours today. Go, 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 now, 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 now. While you're in this area, you have to avoid this train circling around the track by listening for when it's arriving and looking for a bright red light approaching. You do get the hang of it, but sometimes you really gotta listen, or else you're getting caught by the white frog face again. Once you open the big locked door mentioned earlier, you get your reward, which is none other than a train slamming 120 miles per hour right into your skull. This is the first scripted jump scare as the game screeches at you and claims it loves watching you. Oh, we got a TOADBUP fan here? I'd love to give them an autograph, but the white face closes the game right before I can. It's the moment you've all been waiting for. It's time for the game to f my computer up, baby! The fourth wall breaking elements finally come into play after the game crashes, and they are without a doubt the best part of the game. This first scare spams a bunch of error boxes on your computer before then quickly erasing them. A ton of windows then proceed to open up with Nightmare laughing at you. It's actually kind of funny because I recognize the laughing sound effect from this fake antivirus called NavaShield. Okay, a quick side tangent because I have to talk about it, but NavaShield was wild. It was this program that would force you to pay for its fake antivirus services, and if you didn't, it would start to loop this creepy ass laughing sound effect and spam pop-ups. If I got this virus as a child, I'd probably be irreversibly scarred for life. Anyways, after one more odd occurrence, the game opening up this weird image in your browser, you could boot back up the game and you spawn in this meat hook room. You walk across the room and you pass this floating eyeball. It doesn't mind you getting all up in its face, but the second you even think about passing it, no, suddenly there's an issue. You get teleported to a hallway and you finally obtain your first music box. A laugh signifies that you got it, and the music file is added to your game folder. Oh, I forgot to mention it earlier, but a lot of the payloads for me required admin access, so the scares would be kinda halted because I had to say yes first. Anyways, once you walk back down the hallway, you get hit with a jump scare that then melts your screen? This is honestly so damn cool, but it's also hilarious to see my big-brained Walter White background get morphed and stretched all over the place. This marks the end of Chapter 1. The boot up window shows this as it's now a little more glitchy. After a quick little man flashes on your screen, you can move on to Chapter 2, subtitled Sadness. After passing some elegant paintings, you come across the train tracks once again. It's a pretty simple level. You enter a door, you grab a key, you go up the tracks to open the next door with the key, and nah, I'm just joking, you get smacked by another train. A pop-up appears right before you encounter the train, telling you to turn back. What this means is that you have to immediately turn around and go back into the door, and then immediately turn around again to avoid being hit. Lastly, you have to outrun this slow-ass train and make it to a small room on the side of the tracks. It's a scientific fact that trains are absolutely terrifying. Holy shit. Don't startle me like that. You come across a room that requires a code to open. Unfortunately, my mouse got locked up right after reading this, so I couldn't approve the program that tells me where the code is. A notepad then opens up and starts typing, telling you that it hid the code in a folder that's name starts with do come. After going to the do come ends folder, I found a note with the code, until I realized that for some reason I had a completely unrelated text file that happened to be titled code containing a 4-digit combo from some other game I must have played in the past. What are the odds of that happening? After I got baited, I found the actual code, which is an application called Password for Door that after a quick jump scare on your desktop shows you the code that you need. You then enter yet another dark maze-like room, but this time there's different wall and floor textures. Follow the music you hear to enter a place called the music room. And yes, there are indeed musical instruments in here. You can also find the next music box in this room, but it appears to be behind bars. Free my man, he didn't do anything wrong. If you try to enter the door labeled picture taking room, it opens a new window asking if you're using a webcam. It politely asks if it could use it in game to take a picture, which of course I agree to. Entering the code to this room does whatever the hell this is to your computer. What this room is and why it takes over your entire screen, I couldn't tell you, but I do think it's pretty sick. You could finally take that picture you were promised, but it turns out that it defaulted to one of my virtual cameras I used to use, so instead of my actual face appearing in the image, it was the default Snapcam logo, which was honestly way funnier than any face I could have made. Pick up a key after this and enter the recording room, which has this FNAF security guard-ass computer setup for some reason. Search for a key, enter a room, get another key, you know the drill by now. This time, you get the key to the music box and oh shit, he's coming, run! You sprint back to the music room and jump into this fun, colorful portal to escape. This leads you to what's called the real world, which is a dimension in the game that's just the normal game, but with a fleshy texture. I can confirm this is what the real world looks like. You can now grab your second music box and enter back into the normal or fake dimension. You now have to go back to that dark brick maze area and locate a missing gear. Like I said, there are a lot of fetch quests in this game. You can now plummet into this flooded hallway, which is just primed for a jump scare. Thankfully though, the game saves us from a PNG zooming in at us and ends chapter 2 and closes the game. However, I think the game gets mad at you or something because it then proceeds to fling your mouse across the screen for a while and then it has the audacity to ask if you're having fun? Okay, I can't lie, I'm having fun. Boot up the game to another boot up screen and you can now begin chapter 3, subtitled Tears. I don't know if I'm just dumb, but I don't see a correlation of these subtitles with the game. I mean, except fear, I guess, no duh. Walking around, you find a door to this open area with a bunch of different paths. The room you need to go to, however, is pitch black, and instead of wandering around like an idiot trying to find the exit like I did, you have to grab this flashlight from a table and then enter a room. You come across this weird cross thing with the Olympic rings surrounding it, and you're informed that you need to travel to the real dimension to progress. Opening the door next to it with a key found in some rocks earlier, you can enter a portal back to the gooey, fleshy, real dimension, this time with eyeballs. Roaming around, you could find this button, which opens this tunnel where those rings were on the wall earlier. Crawling through, you come across a giant flooded room. Find a key and crawl through another tunnel, however, this tunnel is quite a bit longer. Nothing really happens in the tunnel itself, but as soon as you drop down, you are face to face with this weird glitchy X thing that rushes towards you and crashes the game. Yet another cool scare happens after this, as a window pops up pretending to inject your computer with a rat, which is a remote access Trojan, basically meaning a Trojan virus that can control your computer. You're met with the interface of the program, which shows your computer screen and a couple buttons to press that actually let you control your own computer. You can open any website that you want, you can lock down your own computer for 10 seconds, and you can send yourself a message through the text document. It's nothing earth-shattering, but it's a really cool payload from this game. The advanced settings button just doesn't work, and clicking disconnect is just a horrible idea, because now everything's all messed up. Look what you did. The program goes photo negative, and your computer just freaks the fuck out. Bunch of error messages start opening, the system tray starts laughing at you, and the computer silently screams at you. Nightmare then pops up and hits you with another jump scare before finally ending the madness. Opening back up the game, the title screen is glitched out and shaking a ton, as you're thrown back into the long dark room, but you're a little faster than usual. You can run to the end of the room to find Nightmare, who then proceeds to turn into this bloody-eyed skull. This is the design that Nightmare takes on for most of the rest of the game, and honestly, I'm not a big fan of it. It's just kinda cheesy is all, and it kinda looks like a Bad Sans creepypasta. Run away from the skull and enter yet another portal back to the area you were before with the key that you have. After a quick jump scare courtesy of Mr. Nightmare, you can unlock a room that contains the key card that you need to escape. Oh, I forgot to mention the key card you needed. There's like 80 keys you need in this game. Alright, I lose track sometimes. A couple more flashes of the real dimension pop up while you're making your way to the card scanner, and you finally enter the door. You're now trapped in a small hallway with another code protected door, but this time around, it's actually a really cool method you have to use to unlock it. There's a note in the hallway that has a fake error message talking about something about having an unactivated version of a dark place. It doesn't really matter, but what does matter is that at the end of the message, there's an email attached. What you have to do is actually email the email address, and it'll send you an email back containing the code. This is so damn cool. This is something I'd expect in an ARG, not a video game. Entering the code now leads you to an area called the Forest. This area is exactly what you think it would be. It's a forest. That's dark. Venture around to find a key and open this door to a cabin. Here you find another key and also a computer that when you interact with it, opens up another window titled Lost. I have absolutely no clue what this is or if it even works anymore. It appears to be some sort of online game thingy because it's saying that there's nobody online, but either it's a fake online game loader or it just doesn't work anymore. I don't know, man. I'm the same guy with a Walter White big-brained wallpaper. You think I'm smart? Use the key you found, open up another house with a key inside of it, which then gives you another key that you can use to open a gate. I have no clue how to make this part sound more interesting. Should I just throw some Subway Surfers gameplay under it or something? You then explore a new part of the forest for a little while with all of these street lights, and after going around for a bit, you come across this massive wall with a door that, when you get close enough, opens another text file. This file is apparently from someone trapped in the game, and they tell you not to go into the empty room, no matter what. I'm guessing they're referring to this white door here because when I entered the other door inside of the wall, I came across the third music box. The game immediately changes into real mode as chapter 3 finally comes to an end. The game crashes as a new window opens up telling you to turn back. It then proceeds to play music and dance all around your desktop. You know the drill. New boot up screen, new chapter, and this time it is the final chapter, Vengeance. For this level, the main way to get around is with this train here that could take you to 3 different areas. The first level is a fairly basic dark maze where you have to find this button to enable the second area for the train. I also Alt F4 during this part for a minute, and I will recommend that you don't do this because when you boot the game up again, you're met with these weird dancing blue faces and a certain rope attached to the ceiling. Anyways, reach the train again and you can now access area 2. To find the main key in this area, you have to navigate your way to this library where a key should be on a chair. Keyword here is should because for some reason the key didn't spawn for me the first time and I had to restart the game. Grab the key and bring it to a door leading to a shiny wooden room with yet another switch that should enable the third area for the train. It's a short-lived victory, however, as you immediately glitch into this black screen with a VHS tape beginning to play. Nightmare appears and declares that they are back and you're dead. Nightmare then chases you back to the train and you better hope you can leave quick enough or else he hits you with his little wavy jump scare and crashes your game. Going on to area 3, you guessed it, it's another dark maze-like area. This time you have to find these rainbow portals and you have to choose the right portal 10 times in a row to escape as you switch between reality and the fake world on every other portal. After going through this, it leads to a huge open area and you find the final music box. Nightmare is a little whiny bitch though and won't let you get the music box, so they crash your game instead. Booting the game up again just changes the world to this wireframe looking place, and trying to get the music box just holds the same results. You try opening the game again, you're hit with whatever the hell this is, and yeah, the music box is still unobtainable. Nightmare is getting fed up with this chicanery and tells you to stop coming back, trapping you in this white cage next time you boot up the game. Eventually, if you restart enough, Nightmare has a wham wham baby moment and yells at you to stop, kicking you out of the game once more. Finally, you no longer have to restart because a text file opens up giving you the instructions to basically enable SV cheats and give yourself the music box because Nightmare is being a sore loser. The first time you attempt this doesn't work, but trying it again does, and you finally collect the fourth and final music box. Nightmare then again pulls one of their famous wham wham baby moves and starts glitching your game to holy hell before closing it once more. Booting the game up leads you to the final segment of the game, appropriately titled the finale. Also, I love that the boot up window is just the Nightmare skull but purple. That's great. I'll zoom through this portion quickly so we could get to the ending. You have to find more keys to open doors. The first key you find leads to a room that just straight up soft locks your game and forces you to quit. The next key leads to an actual room, and eventually you come to a crossroads. This room has two different entrances, a portal and a door, each one containing a different ending, so I'll go through them one at a time. And it's sad to admit, but the endings to this game are, how do I put this? This first ending has you choosing the portal, which puts you back in the fake dimension. Then opening a door leads you to none other than the silly skeleton himself. Nightmare tells you that you've reached the end of the game and tells you to quit, and if you don't quit when they say to, they just kick you out anyways. Booting up the game again, you're no longer in the normal game, but on a grassy platform with 4 trees and nothing else in sight. Nightmare says that they created the world just for you, and then boots up Unity with a scary laugh for some reason, and you're left to rot as you achieve the fake ending. I mean, I won't lie, it's kinda lame. I like the concept of being trapped in this fake world forever, but I feel like it's just lackluster. It's not very scary, the scary laugh that they add is really silly, and it feels kind of rushed. The next ending is a little better, but not by a crazy amount. The other ending can be achieved by going through the door at the end of the hallway instead of the portal, keeping you in the real dimension instead of the fake one. This time when you approach Nightmare, the room's all gross and fleshy, and Nightmare is on a giant TV on the wall surrounded by eyeballs. They once again tell you to leave, but this time when they try to kick you out, it doesn't work. Realizing that they have less power, Nightmare instead inverts your controls to mess with you. The dialogue here is a bit goofy paired with the evil laugh, it just feels like Nightmare's trying to cope hard. The game then shows a long extended shot of the Unity game editor, showing the player being blocked in closer to Nightmare. Is it sort of cool seeing the game editor? Kinda, but did it have to be a solid minute of footage? Also, I've noticed that Nightmare talks a lot more casual and friendly in these endings. It feels a bit out of character. Anyways, Nightmare claims that they can leave now and shatters through their TV going towards you. The game closes and Nightmare appears on your desktop with the craziest techno music blaring in the background. They take control of your mouse and keyboard, claiming the PC is theirs, and even threaten to wipe your hard drive. No, not my Mr. Beast calculator. A reformatting countdown plays as the game makes itself even louder, and eventually Nightmare just leaves before opening a Google tab with information about themselves. The website reads that Nightmare is a corrupted entity that basically lives to enter the realms of various video games and troll the player to death. Enough yapping about the lore, it's time to reboot the game again. When opening the game up, it now reads true ending, and entering the one door you can, you're now in this grassy forest area. After wandering for a bit, the trees glitch and disappear, the music stops, and Nightmare crashes your game. One final boot up of the game, and you're left on a gray platform in a void. Nightmare flies towards the screen, and you're left with this final screen of a glitching Nightmare, giving you the, something ending, I don't know, there's no title here. And that was the end of A Dark Place. Now, I wasn't always the biggest fan of this game, but with a couple years passing and a new playthrough, have my thoughts changed on this game? The game has its ups and downs, but I do think the positives outweigh the negative here. This game takes fourth wall breaking to new heights, at least for the time. In 2018, when this was released, there weren't many games out there that would just straight up control your computer to this extent. Nowadays, there's games that'll just straight up use your printer and shut down your PC. I'm looking at you, Sonic. But I feel like this game goes just far enough with the meta horror elements. Also, if you have the ideal setting of a perfectly blind playthrough of this game, the horror can be honestly terrifying, and and if you aren't having a blind playthrough like me, it's still super fun to experience. I also really enjoy the music, but I feel like that's a trend with meta horror games. The soundtrack is always banging. The horror elements were generally okay outside the fourth wall breaks. It could be a little jump scare heavy at times, but really not that much. My biggest issues come with the level design and the endings. The levels all feel very similar, a majority of them just feeling like slightly altered layouts of the same levels. Combine this with the constant key fetch quest and it leads to kind of forgettable gameplay that I wanted out of the way to get to the fourth wall breaks. And like I said before, the game's endings feel a bit rushed and don't tonally match with the rest of the game. Nightmare is way too chill with me. I am looking forward to Xur Studios' future work as A Dark Place 2 is in development. In fact, I am so excited for this release that I actually downloaded 76 Trojan viruses on my computer to get ready for the release.